This is the TSG Multimedia podcast for October of 2024. We're sponsored this month by the TSG Train Crew on Patreon. Find out how you can support the content you love at patreon.com/TSG Multimedia and by Podomatic, a podcast hosting and distributing platform. Thank you very much. I'm John, your host, and this is the longest continuously running train-related podcast of the 21st century, going strong since 2010. This month, we'll be talking about a layout tour shoot, a special event put on by the Tuolumne Historical Railroad Association, a garden layout open house, my garden scale 2-truck climax, a look at Caltrain's new electric operations, and a lot more. We'll get to all that in a minute. But first, I want to talk to you about something else. When the newest TSG Multimedia podcast comes out every month, there's two options that show up on YouTube. One has a square thumbnail like this, and the other has a rectangular thumbnail like this. The square one contains only audio. The rectangular one is the full video and audio podcast. A few months ago, Google, which owns YouTube, discontinued their Google Podcast platform, instead taking all the audio podcasts that used to go to that destination and posting them to YouTube. So if you want to see the things I'm talking about, please remember to select the TSG podcast that has the rectangular thumbnail. Otherwise, all you're going to get is the audio from the podcast. I'd also like to invite you to help support the work we do here by going to patreon.com/TSG Multimedia and joining the TSG Train Crew. In return, you get regular updates with behind-the-scenes information, sneak previews of the featured content in ultra high definition 4K, and special deals on a lot of the products featured on our Product Spotlight and N-Scale Friday programs. Supporting this channel is as cheap as $2 a month. That's only 7 cents a day, and every little bit helps. You can also use the PayPal link listed in the description of every program that comes out, including this one. If you use PayPal, it doesn't get you the same benefits as Patreon, but it does help us. Of course, if you're not in a position to support us directly, liking and sharing the programs on this channel also helps. Hi, we're doing something train related today. I just finished editing the podcast for September this afternoon, and we're already operating. This is the evening of September, I guess, 3rd or something like that. So we're up here at Ray Turner's for another, what I call sunset ops. A beautiful garden layout up on the East Hills in San Jose. I'll show you the view from up here once again. And I'm going to try to see if maybe there's something that I can show you that's an operations tip in our first run here. Because we're doing our first job right now, and we're about to perform some work. So that's what we're doing today. So that's our train, and in the foreground you'll see a loading dock. That's called the TRAK right there. And what we need to do is put our tank car and our box car there onto the TRAK. That's all the work we have to do here, right?
Yep.
So we're going to cut our caboose off somewhere on the track that we're on, and then back those two cars onto the TRAK by running up to one of the turnouts up there and then backing in on this track here. It's a pretty straightforward move, actually. This is called a trailing point set out. The remainder of our work for this job was picking up the two cars that are on the train now. So we're on our way back to the yard where we started.
son's trying to explain this to me.
they decided you weren't good enough. There was a mosquito buzzing.
Can't you see I'm taking a picture of the sunset, Murph? Jeez.
You need to get one like I had.
What, a picture?
I had the sun glinting through the tower over that way.
Oh,
It was perfect.
now it's a picture of the Murph set.
It's off.
Blocking the sun.
September event to get people to end up here. And the problem is, if I send them out and say we're not.
Hi, this is a little bit later, and we had a great time. So thanks again, Ray, for having us. Something I wanted to mention was a guy that was visiting named Roger had a 3D printed SW1500 that he showed us. And boy, was it cool. It was battery powered with all the SP lights. And boy, it was a real treat to see that run. And he even got to help a little bit with one of the jobs, pushing some cars back onto a track for one of the late operating crews to pick them up. What a great time. Wonderful sunset, great company, and thank you so much, Ray, for having us over again. Sunset ops are probably my favorite. Hi, we're doing something train related today, or railroad related. I'm up here in Jamestown, or we're up here in Jamestown with our friend John Zock here, who's very active with the Railtown 1897. I guess it's the foundation, right?
Right.
And the THRA, which is the Tuolumne Historical Railroad Association. And John invited us up here because there's an event happening over the weekend that's a THRA related thing. John also has a really large Sierra Railroad layout that we're going to do kind of an update on. We did a layout video with 6 or 7 years ago, right? But there's been a lot of progress on it. But we came to Railtown first today on our way up here because John wants to show us some of what's been going on here at Railtown. So what are you going to show us?
Well, we'll walk through the old roundhouse. They're working on the locomotive number 3. They're getting ready to hopefully get it back into service maybe by February or early part of next year. So they've done a lot of work on it, but they're still working on it. So it'll be interesting to take a look at that. And we can show you some other things and some of the other places that maybe the most common sections you don't get to see. Tri-Dam and the car garage and things like that. So we'll see a few things that most people haven't seen before.
Sounds like it'll be a good podcast segment. So let's go.
All right. Okay, what we're looking at is the Hetch Hetchy number 19. It's a motor car used on the Hetch Hetchy, primarily from Hetch Hetchy Junction all the way up to the dam site. They used it to send out the payroll, and you might be able to see something in the car that would indicate that it was an ambulance capability, so they do that. It was actually purchased by Al Rose and then donated back to the Railtown. I can't remember the exact time frame, probably late 80s, early 90s, and it's been here ever since. So occasionally it gets run, but not too often anymore.
And here's the fabled Sierra number 3 taken apart. Geez, what are they doing to this thing?
They replaced some of the stuff inside. They did all the new bolts, and it's their 15-year...
Oh, the 15-year rebuild or whatever they call that? Yeah.
And they're finally getting close. The boiler's basically done. Now they're working on all the other levers and gears and the power of and getting things to stop leaking, which you think would be important.
Yeah, right. Don't want too many leaks.
So they took the cab off. It's up in the Tri-Dam, and I think most of the work is done. It's hard to see what's happening because you don't see a lot of it going on in the inside. But there's people who actually get in there and drill holes and add bolts and all that. It's just amazing. So looking forward to getting it back into service.
This is an example if you don't know who you're going to run into until you see them. So we're in here with John doing this little tour of the shop, and I see Sean back over here, and I said, John, is that Sean? And I knew you'd been back. This is Sean Barry Kelly, who's I think I met you here 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. But you were gone, right? Where have you been, and why are you back?
So I was gone for a little while. I worked for the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad in Durango, Colorado, as a steam mechanic, and I recently was hired back here as a full-time employee for the California State Railroad Museum Foundation as a restoration specialist out of Railtown H97 State Historic Park. And currently, this is the main project, is the Sierra 3 is finishing up the 1472 service day inspection on it, and just troubleshooting and getting us back to a steam railroad.
It's in good hands.
Now, what's the story on this, John?
Well, it's almost complete, about 99% complete as far as the rebuilding it. We rebuilt the baggage cart almost from ground up. The one that we replaced was just deteriorating. It was just rotting out, and we had to basically rebuild it. New bolts, new everything. The only thing that's probably still original is that opening in the front and the tongue that goes up. It took us about 6 weeks to get this far, to cut things out, measure everything, get everything squared. We get one side straight and level, and then come to the other side, and then the other side got all messed up. So kept banging away at it, but we finally got it done. The next step is to bring it back down in front of the depot at Railtown, and it's a nice piece of history out front. As you might see, there's one bolt that's not been painted. That's so that Steve Monroe, who's in charge of this whole project, had the nerve to go to France for 3 weeks. But we wanted him, when he comes back, to paint the last bolt so he can take credit for everything. This is Sierra's number 9. It's a Dover caboose. They built it. Sierra Railroad built it in the 1912-ish, around that issue. It was in service, and then during World War II, they leased it out to SP because of shortage of cabooses at their road. And it came back and gotten banged up a little bit by the SP, and they had to do some work. It's been out of service since the 70s. We were hoping to restore it at one point, and it got stopped in the middle of it. It's been in this barn probably mid-90s, and it just been sitting here. Everybody would love to see it rebuilt, but it's a long list of things, and who knows if it'll get done. But at least it's out of the weather. It's not going to fall down, unless the whole building comes down, which is always a possibility. But anyway, it's a lot of history here. Doesn't look very tentative or very attractive, but it's a well-known piece of equipment in Sierra history. This is the Tri-Dam building. It was built in the 1955 era when they were building all the dams up above Beardsley, etc. What you're looking now is obviously a model train in essence. It'll be running the Thanksgiving parade here in Sonora, and it is built by a volunteer. And this is the machine shop area, and across the way is the wood shop. And most of our work, all the volunteers that work here, ends up in one of these two buildings working on different projects. So we're here every Thursday, usually from about 8 o'clock to lunchtime. Then we have a nice lunch, and then we all go home. So it's a good couple hours. Everybody has a good relationship. We'll try to get as much done as we can. Some projects take a lot longer than others, but we're always trying to fix things and replace things. So it's always something to do. So it's a fun 4 or 5 hours a week.
This is one of those examples of you never know who you're going to run into.
Or an example of we didn't have a choice of who he ran into.
Yeah, an example of you're hoping you weren't going to run into him, but there he is.
Hi. Long time no see.
Yeah, our buddy Mike. Garrett's hiding.
I'm not an accomplice yet.
No.
Hi, so we did something train related today, and what we did was actually part of the whole reason for this trip, and that is to go to John Zock's layout here. We saw John yesterday down at Railtown, and to cover it again. And John has a really large, it may be the largest privately owned railroad that I've seen, model railroad. One of the things that I like about this time is the first time, like I said, about 7 years ago, we were kind of rushed because you had something to do that day and we had a hard stop on it. So I felt like it was kind of rushed, and it still turned out okay. But since then, I've learned a lot more about operations, and this is a very operations-based layout. So on this layout tour, we're covering a lot more about the operational aspects of it, and it wasn't rushed. So what do you think?
I think we did a great job. I really enjoy the operations. I encourage people to come by, even if they said they have never done that. We'll give them some easy trains to run with and walk them into the process. And I hope one of these days you'll be able to come by and join us in an op session.
Yeah, that's another one of the funny things. We've been here to document operations on this layout for a Model Railroading 101 episode that was called, I think, Op to Drop or something like that. And it was a lot of fun, and I could see that all the operators were having a great time. So I think we may take you up on that at some point, because, you know, we both love to do operations, and seeing some of the examples of the jobs that you have here today.
And if you make a mistake, we'll only harass you to no end.
That's okay, because we give it back.
Yeah,
So it's all
even. Yeah. That's half the fun.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, so we did something train related today, or railroad related. We came out to Jamestown, which is near Sonora. We've been out here, as you know, for the past couple of days. And the event today was for the Tuolumne Historical Railroad Association, the THRA, which you've heard about on the channel several times now. And what had happened was what they're calling a field trip that we did today up on a place called Table Mountain. And I'm at the edge of the mountain now, and there's a reservoir here and just an amazing view. This has been a very interesting event. We had people talk about various aspects of the history of Tuolumne County, mostly rail-related history. We had an update on the PCR-NMRA, which was really cool. And another really cool aspect of this field trip today is the ranch on top of Table Mountain is owned by Patrick Carnahan, who's really a staple in this area and part of Tuolumne County history, I think. His family has been here for a long time, and his dad is a very well-known historian of the Sierra and other railroads in the county. So we're having a great time. Thank you very much, Patrick. We rode his 7.5-inch gauge train out to this spot here at the edge of the cliff on Table Mountain, where the views are spectacular. So we're going to have a video come out sometime in the near future to show people what this is and give them the information if they want to join the THRA. We joined as soon as it started up, or very shortly after it started up, and it's just a great group of people, and today was a really fun time. So that's what we did today, and signing off from Table Mountain. Hello, this is the next morning, and I'm out here in Hollister at the San Benito Southern, and we're having an open house here today, and I came out to help. So I brought my garden scale Climax that I've had as an ongoing project, and as a matter of fact, we have a video coming up pretty soon of lettering this engine, and I'll show you. It's finished now, but there's a whole video coming out on how to letter this thing using vinyl and a Cricut machine. So that'll be coming out sometime pretty soon. And I think while we're here today, I'm going to take some pictures of it running on the railroad so that I can finish that video. People should be showing up here real soon. It's very close to 11 o'clock right now. Maybe it is 11 o'clock. I didn't look. But these open houses are always fun. We're keeping track of how many people come too. So I'll probably come back with an update later. Look, we had a small problem on that lower loop. I think the engineer was drunk. Okay, so the open house is officially over. And it was a rather lightly attended open house, and I was kind of curious about that, so I was asking these guys, and they said that the organization was trying something different where they only had a couple of layouts open today, and that's, I think, why it wasn't as highly attended as usual, because people probably won't come out to open houses unless they can go to a few open houses. So this is a lesson learned, I guess, that if you're in the process of organizing an open house day in your area, make sure that you have several open houses for people to go to. Because if you don't, it's possible
This isn't what they said. I'm just saying this myself. It's possible that people won't want to be open for it because they won't have enough people there. So just something to think about.
On September 19th, we went live with last month's episode of Talking Trains. Murph and I were joined by our top secret producer and Brett Isaacs to learn all about T-TRAK and how it's a great entry into the hobby of model railroading without being too expensive or taking up a lot of space. It's definitely worth catching on the replay if you missed us live, especially if you're wanting to get into the hobby. Today, September 21st, it's the first official day of Caltrain's electric service. So as of today, there will be no more diesels running on the Caltrain line. And I'm here with my buddy Giovanni over here, and we're about to ride the train to Mountain View. This is the first time I'm riding these trains, so it should be very interesting. I'm sure I'll probably be making some kind of updates about it and giving you my impressions, because I've only been on the trains when it was standing still, and I've only seen the trains being built and from outside like we've shown today. So have you ridden the trains yet, Giovanni?
No, I haven't yet. I've only seen them go by the depot out here in Santa Clara, and especially down at Diridon.
Yeah, so this is the first time for both of us. Maybe I'll ask you, if you don't mind, what your impressions are. So here comes the train we're going to ride. We're about to take off. And Giovanni, I've been watching these things departing from the station for a few weeks now,
Did you bump your
And
back?
I'm expecting to feel my back being pushed into the chair because they go so fast.
Yeah, they accelerate pretty quickly as a high-speed train.
Yeah. Okay, now they've delayed the inevitable. I just want to get this on camera because first time I've been on one of these things as they're taking off.
Yeah, the other reason that they could be like waiting this long is also because maybe a last-minute passenger could decide to get on or off.
Yeah.
It can happen on the railroad.
One of the things happening today, because it's their first day, is it's free to ride. So there's probably a lot more people getting on and off the trains, which would cause that kind of delay.
Yeah, I expected there would be a lot of people, especially for those who don't know, this weekend is also Muni Heritage Days up in San Francisco. So if you like cable cars or street cars, this is a way to go. And plus you get a free train ride to and from wherever you're going.
Yeah. That's one of the events that has been on my radar actually to cover for quite some time, is that Muni Heritage Week thing. But I don't think I'll get to it this year, but knowing how quick and easy it is to take Caltrain up there now, that'll make it happen sooner probably.
Yeah, especially if you like streetcars. I also should mention that there will also be running vintage buses that San Francisco used to run too for Muni and all the other companies. So that way you get a chance to ride in an old-time bus and an old-time trolley.
Pretty cool. Now,
The doors are about to close.
okay,
For your safety, please stay clear
now
of
we-
the doors and hold on.
now we really are about to take off. So let's experience this together here. Oh yeah, I'm feeling my back already.
Yeah,
The spring of it. Trying to think about it.
Wow, that's smooth too.
it is.
It feels like we're floating.
A friend of mine that used to live out in San Francisco, when the first time he saw these, he called these a big streetcar because of how large they were and also how smooth they are.
I can't get over how quiet and smooth this is.
Yeah, not compared to the Bombardier or Gallery cars where you literally hear the axles of the switch.
Oh, we just made our first station stop at Lawrence Station. And the deceleration and stop was just as smooth as the acceleration taking off out of Santa Clara. So this is a really, really smooth ride. I don't know that other than in Italy, I don't think I've been on a train this smooth before. So this is a really good upgrade to what we had here as of yesterday. I'm really impressed with it. The seat's pretty comfortable. I just ran a test on the free Wi-Fi, and that's also really fast. Faster than what I used to get at home, that's for sure. We had like 300 megabits per second download and 360 upload, so we could do a live video from here if we wanted to. A live stream. Maybe someday I'll do that. This is really cool. Well, this is a little bit later, and Giovanni ate his lunch. Something very strange is happening. They're boarding the northbound trains on the southbound side of the platform. And that's what we're looking at right now. There's a train coming right now. It's on the wrong track.
Elevators, then we will station around on service. Northbound elevator.
Okay, so we discovered the mystery of the train going the wrong direction. This is some special train that's not on the regular schedule, that they're taking people to Palo Alto for some shindig they're doing up there. But while we're sitting here, I forgot to mention earlier that Giovanni's sent in some catches of the month. So you're going to see some stuff from him later. But we were just sitting here and he airdropped me this video that he took this morning, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
He stopped off on the side of the highway and took this video. And I'm like, boy, this guy's like a really professional filmer, because even I don't do that. Why don't you tell people what they're looking at?
Sure. So what you'll be looking at is a video of a Caltrain EMU heading to San Jose Diridon. It's a wide-angle shot of the bridge that goes over Highway 280. And the way I got that was I stopped directly underneath the Bird Avenue Bridge and did a panning shot of that whole train going from one side to the other. And there were no CHP officers to bother me about that.
Luckily.
Yeah.
All right, so our train back home, if you want to call it that, is approaching. I love this. Watch this thing. It's like Knight Rider or something.
This is southbound local train 6.
This is happening right now on our way back to Santa Clara. That was so smooth. Here it goes. That's the train we were just on, right? And I just want to say that was so smooth that I wanted to stay on it.
Yeah, that was an incredibly smooth ride. And it reminded me of seeing all the videos of the Northeast Corridor and the Acela trains. And it leans into the curve as we were coming into and out of Lawrence, which I thought was so neat.
Yep.
It just makes me want to ride those, especially upcoming for hopefully a Giants game or two.
Right? So in case you haven't figured it out yet, we're doing something train related today. Gary came all the way out from Sacramento, and I'm up here with Kevin, and then Curtis is over here too. From San Benito Southern, right?
For a tower.
Yeah, so we're going to do a little bit of riding the train and taking videos of the train.
Shots.
Yeah, get some shots, do some riding, get some more shots. Should be a lot of fun. What do you think, Gary? I mean, you came all the way up from Sacramento for this.
Yeah, I sure did.
That's a long drive.
Well, I figured I better get down here and ride these electric trains before they go away.
Oh, right. So in case you're not familiar with what we're looking at here, that's a Capital Corridor train that's headed for Sacramento. They run those 7 days a week, all the way to San Jose. We barely just left the station there.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that scenery flashing past. I mean, we're going pretty fast already, guys. What's your honest reaction to your first experience riding this electric train there, Kevin?
Well, they're nice, smooth, quiet. That's pretty surprising how smooth they ride. Ride the old gallery cars on this line, they've rocked and rolled. This is nice and smooth.
Yeah. I seem to recall them being pretty loud, too.
Yeah.
It's like a new car. Well, it is a new car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horn's kind of nasty, but oh well.
It is what it is. What's your initial reaction there?
Beautiful.
Yeah?
Yeah, the sound in here, you could hear people talking 30 feet away. It's
Nice and it's like being in a library in here. Nice.
Yeah. We're sitting at one of these little table seats, right? Just having a quiet conversation
Got
here.
a Europe feel to it. Very nice. Good stuff.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Smooth, cool, refreshing, relaxing. I'd take this. But I went through the train. I can't find the cafe car.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
There's no cafe car on it.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. However, it's not as good as the old Suburban coaches built in 1924.
Yeah.
Those were really nice cars.
You would know about that because you were around in 1924. You were already 40 years old.
Yeah.
In 1924.
I've ridden, cars built before 1924 behind steam engines on this line.
Right.
And they were a lot of fun. I mean, you knew you were moving on them.
These are the light rail vehicles that operate throughout Silicon Valley. There's one just now. So this is an interchange point between VTA and Caltrain. Here's kind of a cool look. We have the train here that we just rode in on. And then over to the left, we have the old equipment. There's an F40 and an MP36. That's a shot that you're probably never going to see here again once those diesels leave the building. So we're actually getting something a little bit historic here for the podcast. You're witnessing history, Kevin.
Yeah. It's a transition era.
Yeah, what do you think?
They're nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're really nice.
We made all the way to San Francisco. We weren't even really planning to come to San Francisco, but then we got hungry.
Yeah, and we said, well, this is probably the closest food on the line, so here we are.
Yeah. So that's it. That's our, at least the northern end of our trip for now. So this is Oracle Park. You may have heard of that. That's where the San Francisco Giants Major League Baseball team plays. We're just walking right past it, so I thought I'd take a picture of it and share it on the podcast here.
Not in public safety. He said we're going to take a break and we'll go back and do it.
In the event of an emergency, please discreet and listen carefully to instructions from the center or emergency responders. If you are instructed to use an emergency exit, use caution and walk to the side of the tracks at least.
So we've arrived at a station called Bayshore, and we've exited the train. And these guys really take off fast. All right then, so we're now at a stop called South San Francisco, and we got off the train to shoot foamer shots here because there's some freight cars. There's a little yard here that they use for what little freight goes up and down the peninsula and around this area now. So we're going to catch a northbound train coming through, and then we're going to catch a southbound train stopping, and then we're going to jump on the southbound train and get out of town.
Yeah, because we missed the other train.
Yeah.
So are you having fun? Is this what you had
Yeah.
expected we'd be doing today?
Yeah, it's going well. Getting a lot of good shots and getting to ride the train, so it's all good.
Yeah. Super smooth ride.
Oh, yeah.
You look like you're having a great time.
I am. I'm chasing train.
Are you chasing trains? We should have done a chasing trains episode today, but
Yeah.
I didn't feel like doing it.
Yeah, me neither. We'll ride them instead.
We'll call it riding trains.
Riding
It's a special podcast episode of chasing trains called Riding Trains.
Expect up to 15-minute delays for all trains.
We're at a station called Millbrae now, and this is where Bart connects up with Caltrain, well, one of the places. And we just got a shot from an overpass over here, which I know well because I took a shot from that same overpass 20 years ago when I was recording for the Caltrain 2005 video, and it was almost the same shot. But this time, it was funny. There's a tree that has grown up since 20 years ago. I'm not even sure that tree was here last time I was here. And the engine stopped right behind the tree. It was otherwise a perfectly set up shot. Oh well, guess I'll know for eventually when I come back over here when I'm really working on that video in earnest. I'll know not to try to take that same shot unless the tree is bare. Okay, so we finished up in Millbrae, and we're back on the train.
Caution.
Just making a station stop at San Mateo at the moment. And a whole slew of people just got on the train. They have a big festival thing going on here in San Mateo. Because, you know, this is the big opening weekend for the electrification of the line. But I think that's it for now. We may hang around Santa Clara for a little while, catch a few trains down there, but we'll be done. And if I don't come back in Santa Clara, I'll be back later with some final thoughts on the day. Sometime tonight after I relax and clean up a little bit. We'll see. I've had some time to reflect on yesterday and today's events out on the Caltrain line. And really what it amounts to is the entry of commute service, at least in my area, the entry into the 21st century, because the equipment that they were using out here before was, 40 years old in some cases. And I rode trains a lot like what I rode yesterday and today about 15 years ago when I went to Italy. And to think that it took that long for us to catch up, right, to old countries like Italy. To me, it seems baffling that we don't take better, consideration with our transportation infrastructure. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
So I'm really excited about this development, and I'm very happy to live in a place that is taking it more seriously. And what I think is probably going to happen is we're going to have people from other transportation agencies, like Front Runner in Utah, or I forget the one in New Mexico, I forget now. They have a really cool paint scheme. They have those MP36s. I hope people from Metra and from Metrolink will come up here or come out here. Maybe people from Coaster in San Diego and ride these things. And they're going to want them. That's how good it is. Like, they're going to see this and ride this and go, boy, why don't we have this? It's way faster, way more efficient. The ride is way better than anything I've ridden in this country before. And I do mean way better. Those cars are quiet. They're smooth. It's just incredible. So just a really great advance into really the present for our transportation infrastructure around here. So just great job, Caltrain, making this happen. And it's a lot of really exciting things to come, I think, for other places because of this. So those are my final thoughts.
Is that 688? See how much quieter it is when you use phone?
So in case it's not clearly obvious, we're doing an op session today at the Rawhide and Duct Tape. That's Dave Lovelace's layout. And we're actually working together today. So our first job is this really impressive reefer block. It's a 23-car train. I think this is the longest train that runs on this layout. And so this is the first job, and we're just about to end it. The train is coming down around this, I guess it's a single turn helix, and I have it routed to go into track 7 per the directions, which are in the foreground here, into this yard. Oh, and there's our engineer, or top secret engineer, I guess. Okay, so it's a bit later, and we're just wrapping up here. And as you can see, the last remnants of the crew from today. Another great session, and thanks so much, Dave, for hosting another op session here. We actually had two guest hosts at the layout, which is pretty cool. And what I'm talking about is Dave's working on a way to have other people run op sessions and not just him, so that we can do it when he's not available or he's not around, which is pretty fun. So anyway, we're signing off from the op session. Thank you so much, Dave. Had a great time, and we'll see everybody soon on another podcast update or on some more podcast information headed straight your way. This is the PCR-NMRA Coast Division meet for this month. And you can see I have a camera set up here. Here's our superintendent, Phil. He's about to start the meeting. And so I'm going to go in here and I'll give you some updates on what this meeting is as we go.
That will start about 10:15 and will run quite till about 11.
So the first clinic is underway inside, and I saw Phil, so I grabbed him. This is Phil Edholm. You've seen him on the channel before, many times. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
But Phil's our superintendent for the Coast Division and does a really good job. And I'm not didn't bring you on here just to stroke your ego here, but I wanted to have you come on and just talk very briefly for the audience of what we're doing here and why we're doing it.
So this is what we call our fall meet. So basically, this happens essentially every year. We've been doing it now. This I think our third year. We've been doing it at the South Bay Historical Railroad Society here in Santa Clara. The reason is they have a nice room in the front. They have a boardroom in the back. We're able to have clinics. So this morning we have 2 clinics in the front room. Those are actually being also set up virtually. So we also, in addition to the people in the room that you'll see in the pictures, there's probably about 10 other people now on the online virtual meeting. So we do that in the morning. Then we have lunch. And then in the afternoon, we have some layout tours. Today we have a couple of layouts. In fact, one of them is Seth Newman's layout. One of the clinics in the morning is about a area on Seth Newman's layout. Now it was reimagined and re-scenicked. We do this typically here again in the fall. We're starting and doing a early spring, late winter, which will be in the North Bay at the Golden State Railroad Museum. We'll do that in the February-ish time frame. Obviously, late March, April is the PCR convention time. And then, of course, we do 2 auctions a year. We have a December auction and a May auction, and those are typically in Alameda. So those are opportunities to both, buy and sell your collection or buy those things you need. Then we try to do a couple of other events every year, like go to Niles Canyon Railway in the morning, do a shop tour, and then have some layout tours in the afternoon. So there's the kind of events that you get to participate in as an NMRA member.
Yeah, and as a Coast Division member, and I think this is mostly you, Phil, because you work really hard to have the NMRA engaged with the people. Yeah, and I think that's adds a lot of value to being a division member of this division. So I feel lucky as an NMRA member to live in the division where we're actually active this way.
Well, that's good. Well, thank you. That's what we're trying to create, because it really, the value of the NMRA to me, there are values of a national organization and standards and things like that, but really personal value, most of it is local. It's the people you meet. It's being able to go see great layouts, get that motivation, get inspiration. It's coming here and learning. I mean, the great clinic here about how do you do that? Going to the clinic with Frank about weathering, learning about soldering, doing it hands-on, not trying to learn from somebody on the internet but you can't ask a question of, but actually doing it with somebody hands-on. So, to me, that's the biggies of it, the NMRA, is that local experience and the people you meet. I mean, one of the things you see if you come to an event like this, you'll see that most of the people know each other. They've known each other for years. It's an important part of their social fabric.
Yeah, so I think there may be only 2 people that I've seen here today that I either don't remember or don't know. Yeah, but they may be new members. I don't know. But one of the really cool things about today's setup, and you kind of alluded to this, is that people can watch Seth and Earl talk about this area on Seth's layout, and then you go see it this afternoon.
Yep, and go see it.
The exact thing that they're showing.
See what they did. So that's cool.
There's an extra sort of connection there. So anyway, that's Phil. That's what we're doing today, and thank you, Phil, for everything that you do.
Thanks, John. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not unnoticed.
Thanks. Have a good one, people.
Yeah.
So Richard came up with the idea of building an acrylic core.
So the meeting is going on just inside the room over my right shoulder. And we have one of the new Caltrain sets just leaving, just finishing a station stop here. And one of the really cool things I didn't really mention last weekend when we were riding these trains is before, when we had F40s and MP36s coming up and making station stops here, we'd have to stop our meetings because the head-end power was so loud you couldn't hear anything inside the depot. With these new electric trains, we don't even have to pause the meetings because the only noise they make is the bell when they show up. And it's way quieter than the HEP motor, revving at full speed. So that's another advantage, at least for, meeting here at the depot, is they're quiet enough not to interrupt our meetings. And how cool is that?
It takes a little while, but I think it comes out really nice. So since this pretty much fits, is the size of an HO scale boxcar. So it clears the tunnels, the bridges.
Cars roll fine or not, they can fall off the track. But it's got this great clinic on making sure.
Trains running on the track.
We're able to virtualize something that a lot of people can't go to. And I think it provides a good value to the group by being able to do that. And if you're interested in doing the same thing for your NMRA division, you're welcome to get a hold of me anytime. Just use podcast at tsgmultimedia.com and I will show you the setup. You don't need a bunch of fancy equipment like I have. You can do it with just a laptop and an internet connection. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. And with that, this begins what I call podcast week, and I'll be editing and putting together the podcast that you're watching right now. And yeah, that's it for now. Signing off. And now for this month's catches. Lucas Woodward sends in the following shots from his epic United States tour. The first photo is of a southbound Amtrak number 53, the Auto Train, passing through Ashland, Virginia on the evening of June 26th. These next two photos are at the Virginia Museum of Transportation in Roanoke, Virginia, featuring Norfolk and Western Giants Class J 611 and Class A 1218. These were both taken on June 29th. This photo comes from La Plata, Missouri on the BNSF Transcon as an eastbound Union Pacific intermodal train races through at 70 miles per hour. Here's another shot from La Plata as the westbound BNSF Manifest train passes the Santa Fe passenger station. The final photo from Lucas is the next morning as Amtrak number 3, the Southwest Chief, is stopped at La Junta, Colorado, with P-42s 194 and 11 on the point. And now for something different. Giovanni Rossi sent in these photos of trains that he took on a trip to Peru in September of 2022. These first three shots were taken at Estación San Borja Sur. I think I said that right. Hey, this kind of reminds me of the Caltrain equipment we featured on this podcast. And the last one was taken at Estación La Cultura. Thanks for sharing these unusual shots. So speaking of something unusual, our last catch is a video that was captured on a phone. Check this out. It's one of the neatest things I've heard all year.
This is KJL's Wishes and Wants, quoted in a way only a railroader would understand. It's titled, If During Your Retirement You Find Yourself. So, if during your retirement you find yourself going for a hike or climbing a mountain, I want you to always know you have KJL's permission to put as much power online as you need so you don't stall out. Also want, if during your retirement you find yourself chasing your grandkids, I hope you can still find a run 8 for many, many years. Also, if you end up on a golf course, I wish for all your tee shots to be straight as a rail and your putts to never derail. If you find you miss us so much that all you do is sit in a bar, then I have to say have as many highballs as you want because there ain't going to be any random tests in the morning. And lastly, if you find yourself on the beach, I want you to give every bikini a good roll by and say to yourself, man, I wish my dispatcher was here to see that.
That is correct, out.
Have a great retirement then, Mike.
All right, thanks a lot, Kevin. Always enjoy working with you.
Well, buddy, take care.
If you have a catch you'd like to share, please send it to podcast at tsgmultimedia.com. Be sure you own the shots and tell us the whats, whens, and wheres of the shots you send in. So we're officially into the start of fall now, and there's some time to get out there and have some train-related fun still. We're off to the Central Coast Railroad Festival this weekend. I'm sure we'll see some of you out there. And make sure you catch the Talking Trains show this month because we're going to do something a little different. Murph and I will have 2 guests joining us virtually, and we'll be talking about what I call the holy wars of the hobby. That's things like DC versus DCC, or NCE versus Digitrax, or steam or diesel, or SP or UP. It should be a lot of fun. Actually, if you have an idea for a Holy War topic, post it in the comments section below, and we'll try to bring it up on the show. Should be a lot of fun. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
We don't have any fun at all.